Good morning. Welcome to Scholar IAS Current Affairs classes. Today we are going to look into important issues of January 22nd current affairs. Let's go into the session. So the first issue is delay in mercy petition. This particular topic is important in prelims. A question could be raised on pardoning power of the president, and in GS2 constitution part in mains, a question could be an argumentative question could be asked with respect to mercy petitions as well as capital punishment. So coming to the issue, recently, mercy petition of Balwant Singh Rajauna was delayed. As a result, the swift approval of mercy petition as well as the problems of death penalty have been heavily debated in the national media, and that is why the issue has come in the current affairs. So before looking into the problems of delayed mercy petition, we have to look into the status of the capital punishment. In 2015, the Law Commission was in favor of abolishing the death penalty. After a few years, Parliament has also conducted a voice vote regarding the argument of abolishing the death penalty, but the Parliament had rejected it, and a minister had stated that the capital punishment government was not in the favor of abolishing the capital punishment. In the global stage, only 56 nations have death penalty right now, and Sri Lanka had recently abolished the capital punishment in 2019. Also, now the argument have shifted from the debate of having the capital punishment to swift approval of mercy petitions. Initially, it was that people were debating about we should have capital punishment or we should not have capital punishment, but now the focus have shifted to whether the mercy petition have to be approved swiftly and it should not be delayed. So this is the concern right now is going in the national debate. So having seen the status of capital punishment across the globe, now we have to look into the issue of why mercy petitions have been delayed. What is the reason why the approval of mercy petitions are delayed? So one primary reason is there is a lack of accountability on part of the government officials who are processing this mercy petition. Second, a fixed time frame is not given. As a result, the mercy petition takes a few days or a few months and it is getting delayed, causing severe psychological stress to the applicant. Third, when the mercy petition comes to the court delay is also one of the reasons why the approval of the mercy petition gets delayed. So far we have seen the reasons why there is a delay in approval or decision on the mercy petitions. Now we have to look into the reasons why mercy petition should not be delayed or should be approved swiftly. So the first reason is that efficacy of the death penalty is questionable. As a result, making the death row convict wait is an inhumane act. Second, a death row convict has already faced 25 years of solitary confinement, and making him wait further is again inhumane. Third, delay in processing of the mercy petition results in immense psychological stress to a death row convict. Also, delay in mercy petitions is violative of the reformative principle of justice. So what is the way forward? The approval of the mercy petition should be time bound, for which the roles of the officers have to be clearly defined and a proper time frame should be given and proper accountability mechanism have to be put in place so that mercy petitions are not delayed. So second issue is India's innovation ecosystem. This particular question could be asked in mains GS3 technology. They can ask us to evaluate India's innovation ecosystem. So such type of questions could be asked in mains. So coming to the stats, India is ranked third in terms of publications produced. Second, Global Innovation Index has placed India in the list of top 50 innovative economies globally. So this is actually a good rank, and it is a result of concerted effort that the government was making to make Indian economy more innovative. So what are the efforts that were taken? Several efforts have been taken to boost the scientific and innovation ecosystem in India. First is investments in scientific activities, infrastructure and manpower development have been pursued, and boosting the entire innovation chain using schemes like Startup India have been done. We also have given the incentives to develop incubation centers, and we had encouraged school children to come out with ideas, and patent application and patent processing facilities have been improved both electronically as well as manually. This particular process have been streamlined. So all these are the efforts that were invested in improving the entire innovation chain. And also that the efforts have been taken to connect the invention ecosystem with the innovation ecosystem. So invention ecosystem is something related to knowledge creation, something that you discover and then you invent, and that thing becomes a knowledge. So this particular knowledge creation is then linked to the innovation ecosystem. Only when you have certain knowledge you can improve on that. This improvement is the innovation. So basically first you invent, then you improve on it for the innovation. So efforts have been taken to connect this innovation ecosystem with the invention ecosystem, and national science and technology innovation policy have also been framed to leapfrog the innovation ecosystem in India. What are the other initiatives? What are the specific initiatives that have been invested into? India's national investment in R&D has increased from 1.1 lakh crore in 2017 to 2018 to 1.2 lakh crore in 2018 to 19. So there have been increased in budgetary spending on R&D. Second, there has been an implementation of Nidhi, which is focused on nurturing 3,000 startups or 3,000 plus startups, and it has produced around 2,000 intellectual property. Also, Startup India Mission has given a boost to convert these patentable innovative ideas into the startup. So these are all the specific measures which have been invested into by the government, and this has produced immense output which we are seeing in terms of the innovation ranking by World Intellectual Property Organization. So what are the outcomes? So these measures have generated more than 60,000 direct jobs, and 13,000 patients were sealed in 2017 and 18, out of which 1,937 patients were by Indians. The number of publications have increased exponentially over last 10 years. Also, India's growth rate of scientific publication was 12% or 13%, and world average is only 4.9%. This is precisely because there are a lot of people who is pursuing science in India, and also we have large number of institutions and universities that is pursuing science. Also, India's researchers per million population increased from 255 from 218 to 255. Also, India has attained the third rank in terms of number of PhDs produced. So basically, there are a lot of institutions which is pursuing science, and on top of that, it produces more number of PhDs, more number of papers, and number of scientific researchers to the population have also increased, and this has a combined effect on the innovation ecosystem that we are speaking about. Third issue is Udyam. So this particular topic is important in mains GS3 economic development part. They could ask what are the challenges of MSMEs and how government is tackling it, or how Udyam is going to solve the problems of MSME. So Udyam is nothing but a registration portal that registers the MSME, and based on the registration, the welfare initiatives have been pursued and is forwarded by the government to the MSMEs. So Udyam is nothing but a registration platform. Okay, coming to the importance of MSME. MSME, India is touted as the land of MSMEs. This is because we have more than 6 crore MSME units, and this more than 6 crore MSME units provide 12 crore jobs. Also, we find that there is one MSME for every 21 citizens. It contributes to the distribution of products, services, employment, wealth. So we have a dual advantage here. On one end, it provides employment and wealth, and on the other end, it naturally redistributes this wealth across the population. So this is the advantage. One more important advantage is that more than half of the MSMEs are located in rural areas. So MSME provides a proper potential to bridge the gap between rural and urban areas. Also, MSME provides an opportunity to bridge the gap between men and women in terms of pay and in terms of growth, because fifth of the MSMEs are run by the women. Also, MSME provides 10 crore direct jobs. As I've said, 10 to 12 crore jobs have been provided by the MSME. So what are the measures? What are the measures that the government had taken to improve the growth of the MSMEs? So first is that the MSME Development Act have been enacted to develop and enhance the competitiveness of MSMEs. Second, amendments to the income tax forms as well as GST concessions have been provided to boost their growth. So these are all the few measures which is aimed at boosting the MSME sector's growth. So, despite several welfare schemes for MSMEs, government found that these welfare schemes were not benefiting MSMEs. This is because these welfare schemes are not taken to the MSMEs in the right way, and majority of the MSMEs are not aware of these schemes. Also, it was very difficult for the government to target these MSMEs without proper data. So government felt that it is very necessary to generate data on the MSMEs so that it is targeted properly. All these welfare measures are targeted properly. So with this motive, government has instituted a scheme called Udyam. Udyam is nothing but a registration platform where MSME units have to register in the Udyam. Also, this Udyam is linked with income tax and GST returns. So once MSME registers in these Udyam portal, and in the second year it has to file the tax. Based on the tax filings, it will be classified as a small, medium, and micro unit. And based on this classification, these units can access the benefits. So, what is the recent amendment or notification with respect to Udyam? So the recent notification is that the MSME classification as micro, small and medium will be determined based on the investment and turnover. This investment and turnover data will be taken from the IT and the GST filing, which will be done after the first year. So this is the notification. Second notification, RBI had notified that only MSEs which are linked with the Udyam will be able to receive loans under priority sector lending. So what is the import of these two notifications? The actual import of these two notifications is that when you don't register in Udyam portal, you will not be able to receive loans under PSL. Second, only when you file taxation, income tax or GST, whatever it is, you will be able to be classified as micro, small and medium. And only when you are classified as micro, small and medium, you can access several benefits which are attuned to these particular segments. So this is the import of the notification. So what are the pain points? So before this notification, any MSME can access loan under PSL. So now it is not the case. Second, few MSMEs don't generate that much profit to file tax. On top of that, even if they generate profit, they don't know how to register in the Udyam. So they are like digitally not aware of these concepts. Fourth, there are lot of problems with respect to internet access, and many people don't have the internet access. For example, in northeastern region and in hilly terrains, there are a lot of MSMEs which use very minimal capital and they survive. And these MSMEs really don't know what is the registration process and how to access this internet. All these things they don't know. And also that these MSMEs, when they are not able to register with Udyam, which means that they cannot access formal credit because now the loan process is linked with the Udyam. So these MSMEs will be pushed to get loans from the informal sector, which leads to debt trap. So Udyam brings in two types of aspects. One is the positive aspect of registration and the advancement or delivery of the welfare measures for MSMEs. On the other hand, the procedural requirement of Udyam creates hindrance for certain MSMEs to access the welfare measures. That is the real issue right now. Also, the notification also provides certain problems like the traders have been excluded from the purview of MSME definitions. All these are all the minor things that is a problem with respect to the overall notification. So what is the way forward? First, the digital adaptation of MSMEs, that is the registration processes, have to be given proper transition time for the MSMEs to register. So at least 24 to 36 months should be given to the MSMEs for the registration process, because by the time they would be aware of the registration process and they will access internet and they will register. So proper time should be given. And second, The excluded sections like traders have to be included in the purview of the MSMEs. And third, collection of data to advance welfare initiatives is important, but it should not be at the cost of practicality and undue hardship. We also know that the red tapeism as well as the file movement and governmental processes delaying the growth of Indian economy. And of late, for past 2 decades, India had perfected the e-governance system to reduce the red tape. And now, in the era of e-governance, now the challenge will be to give internet to each and everybody so that they can access the internet to reduce this red tape. Now the real problem is the access to internet and the digital divide. It is itself is a hindrance factor to access the governmental welfare measures. So that is the real issue now. So that's all we have for you today. For more videos, please log on to scholar.com. Have a great day.